New beginnings are often disguised as painful endings. Lao Tzu. Depression, confusion, perplexity, and estrangement, they're all without a doubt the darkest experiences that human beings will have to face sometime in their lives. Human beings are emotional creatures, and it is natural for us to experience emotions and be overwhelmed by them, especially when we have no understanding of them, or very little understanding of them, which is often the case with depression and any low points in life. I completely understand that feeling, the feeling of your mind being stuck, lost, contorted, and just being completely engulfed by negative emotions and apparitions. Everyone's been there, gentlemen, and so have I. The truth about depression is that you are simply unhappy with your current situation or circumstance in life. You are still clinging to past actions that you commit or past circumstances that you have no control of that ultimately get you into your current, undesired circumstances in life. You are still wallowing in self-deprecation. What you need to understand, gentlemen, is that for every human being, life itself is an endless cycle of triumph, defeat, and rebirth, a continuous cycle of the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. Depression or defeat is an inevitable sequence that life will present to you and everyone else on this planet at certain points in your life, and also theirs. The story of life itself for every human being is simply a continuous and endless cycle of highs and lows, distributed in all important aspects of life, career-wise, relationship-wise, belief-wise, skill-wise, knowledge-wise, experience-wise, everything, gentlemen. One period in your life you could be working on your dream job. The next morning the company you work on might go bankrupt, leaving you unemployed. One period in your life you could be enjoying your days with the woman of your dreams. The next day the relationship has to end because of different perspectives and parts. That is why almost everyone knows the quote, "Everything has a beginning and an end." Not to discourage you, gentlemen, or anything. It is just the game of life. Life is impermanent. Everything is always changing and shifting as we speak. It is the game, and the narrative of the game itself is all about that cycle of highs and lows, a constant, never-ending cycle that just simply defines what life is all about. Especially when we are young, wild, free, and stupid. The gap between the highs and the lows are much greater than when we're older, when we've already seen much of the world and know more about ourselves. The story, or cycle, starts with enslavement or subjugation. This is where the circumstances overwhelms you. It is where the challenges or the obstacles conquer you instead of you being in control of them. Breakups, unemployment, characterless, injury, failure, accidents, demise, etc. You're not ready for these situations, and that is normal in life because you haven't or rarely experienced it before. You don't know what to do. You're confused and overcome with all emotions and thoughts. And that is perfectly alright, gentlemen, because then you can finally start to familiarize yourself with all of these circumstances. Then we move on to conceding and realization. This is where the depression happens, where the feeling of being lost in life, purposelessness, meaninglessness, and undesirableness, all of them, just kicks in. This is where you gentlemen often wallow in defeat, failure, and emotions, where you would endlessly self-deprecate yourself, and repeating all the discouraging words in your head, like the usual, "I'm not good enough," or "I'm a failure and a loser," or "she deserves better than me," and many more. And yes, unfortunately, for some people, and may God bless their souls, did not make it out of this period. Then we come to reconstruction and rebirth. The transition from defeat to rebirth is probably the hardest one for all of us, and it is what I will be emphasizing in this video, and eventually tell you gentlemen the only way to climb out of that pit of darkness that is defeat. Anyways, here is where you finally decide to keep going and keep pushing on in life. You've slowly unshackled yourself from the past and made decisions to bring yourself back to your feet to crack on. Next is actions and trials. I've been mentioning and preaching this term in a previous video. Action is the sole term that truly defines a man's character, and it is no different here. The decisions you've made prior to this stage of the cycle, here is where you put them to the test and make the necessary adjustments to face the challenges and the obstacles that are ahead of you. Here is where you truly start to begin again. And finally, the cycle completes with triumph and conquer. This is where you finally overcome those challenges and obstacles, where you finally familiarized yourself to the circumstances that broke you previously. Where you were once distraught by breakups, you now realize the best thing is to move on and find a better partner. Where you were once crushed by unemployment, you now realize the best thing is to keep looking for another job or create a business of your own. Where you were once devastated by the demise of someone that is close to you, you now realize that they are never going to come back. And the best thing you can do is to continue living your life and cherish your previous memories with them. Also understand that the cycle doesn't only apply to major things in life, gentlemen. It can be applied to minor and micro circumstances as well, such as the challenge of lifting a heavier, never-before attempted weights at the gym. You might fail the lift and wallow in failure, telling yourself that you're not strong enough, and spend some time doubting yourself. But eventually you come to your senses and realize that it was far from over. So you decide to get out of that pit and commit more time and energy into your training. Make plans, apply those plans, and make adjustments along the way to build up your strength until finally you are able to lift that weight that has previously defeated you. So, what is it then? The only way to effectively get out of the pits of depression and defeat. You gentlemen probably might have missed that, or some of you might have figured it out already. It is simply to just keep going. That's it. It is to make the decision and take the actions to just keep going in life, to move on in life. Now, the mainstream society might say to you gentlemen to just never give up, or to just be strong. Although I like those terms, I'd prefer to use a humbler and more encouraging and uplifting words instead. You're doing alright, mate. Just keep going. Trust me. It's the only way. I want to get something off my chest for this video because transparency is everything on this channel. I did contemplate suicide many times back in 2017 when I was experiencing the lowest of all lows regarding my career, my relationships, and my own sense of character and identity in this world. It became so dark and bleak that I contemplated taking my own life countless times. But what made me refuse to give in to those desperate temptations is simply wanting to know for one last try what is left that life have in store for me. And I'm sure all of you gentlemen got those questions. What is it that life have in store for me after all of these dark times? After all of these mountain of darkness that has been placed on our shoulders? Will it be eternal darkness waiting for us at the end of our lives? Or will there be a light at the end of the tunnel for us to find salvation? And the answer is that things in life will get better if you want to make it better by making that decision to just keep going. And that is simply what I did. Just keep on going. Your life is always moving forwards, gentlemen. The past is the past. It is okay to look back for some time and admire it a bit, but there is nothing you can do to change what has happened. All you can do is to keep going in life, to keep on moving, to keep on growing. You don't have to make leaps and bounds to keep going. It is all baby steps. In any case though, the point that I want to make in this video is to implant and embed deep into your minds the understanding of what life is simply about. To understand that life is all about ups and downs. Remember, the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And every human being, regardless of anything, backgrounds, status, sex, age, everything, experience these periods in their lives. And anyone who tells you otherwise is telling you absolute rubbish. This is the game of life, gentlemen. What life is all about, the narrative of life, the story of life itself. You have to lose yourself before you find yourself. You have to make mistakes, fail, and lose to eventually and finally correct, succeed, and win. Don't hate the game. Embrace it and play the game, because you're already in it, whether you like it or not. Your life will be miserable only if you choose for it to be miserable. Thank you for watching.